Hey everybody, welcome back as we take another look at phrases. This time moving on from the prepositional phrases we spoke of in our introduction to phrases video to talking about verbal phrases. So this is phrases part 2. If you don't have a good handle on those prepositional phrases, it might be good to go back and take a look at that video before coming on to this one. That being said, let's take a look at what we got in today's lesson. So for phrases part 2, verbal phrases, these are phrases that begin with a verb form. That's why they're called verbal phrases. Those verb forms include, that we'll look at today, present participle, that's a verb base plus ing. Past participle, that's a verb plus ed, en, those are some common endings. It is in any case the form of the verb used in the past perfect. You say, I have gone, for instance, or I have walked. Some will be the same as the past, like walked, I have walked. Some will be different, as in the case of gone. I go, I went, I have gone. So there's a few variant forms there, unlike the present participle, which is always verb base plus ing. And then the other form is the infinitive. The infinitive is simply the verb base with to in front of it. To walk, to run, to see, etc. With these verb forms, we can create 3 types of verbals or verbal phrases. The participial, which serves as an adjective, a participial or a participial phrase. A gerund, which is a noun, and the gerund phrase, which is a noun phrase. And the infinitive, which can serve either as a noun, adjective, or adverb, either alone or in phrase form. Of course, here we're looking at how these end up being used in phrases, but each of these verbals can be used alone as either a modifier or, where appropriate, a noun. Let's take a look at these verbal phrases and verbals together. First off, we'll start with participial phrases. These are always adjectives. They describe a noun. There is a present participle and a past participle based on the verb forms of the same name. Again, present participles, we mentioned, are formed with a verb base plus ing and are words like burning, running, talking, etc. The past participle, well, uses just that, the past participle form of a verb. Examples being worn, given, or ruined. So now let's take a look at how they can be used as modifiers, either alone or in a phrase. So a simple participle like burning, we'll take one right from our list there, can be used as follows. The burning coals were hot. Here we can see it indeed is an adjective, as we say, as burning is describing what? Coals. What kind of coals? Burning coals. Same thing in this sentence, running water is a blessing. By the way, if you've ever been without it, you know how true that is. What kind of water? Running water. So our participial there is an adjective again, this time of the subject water. Here's another one. It's a talking book. Here, talking, the participial is telling us what kind of book. It's an adjective of book. In the past form, the worn thread broke. Worn describes thread. I have worn, you can see it's the past participle form, but here it's an adjective, not a verb. A verbal serving as an adjective describing thread. Second one, the numbers given are wrong. The what numbers? The given numbers. So given, now a past participle, becomes an adjective of numbers. And the final example there, a ruined frame remained. What kind of a frame? A ruined frame. So ruined is now an adjective modifying frame. Okay, those are the simple single word participles. Let's look at participial phrases. Here we have not only the participle, but other words modifying the participle or working with the participle together. Burning wildly, the fire raged on. Okay, the basic sentence is the fire raged on. What fire? The fire. What fire? A wildly burning fire. And you can see how it works exactly in that direction. Burning modifies fire. Wildly, an adverb, is modifying burning. So the adjective burning here is being modified by wildly. And that makes it a participial phrase rather than just a word, because that occurs with the participle. You wouldn't take out burning and say, wildly the fire raged on. Well, you might in this particular case be able to get away with that, but in most sentences you're not going to be able to. Let's try the next one here. Jim, running uphill, soon tired. Okay, running uphill is an adjective describing Jim. It says what his condition is, what he's doing. Here, what he's really doing is the verb that he tired. That's what's happening to him. But what we're saying here is A description of Jim is he's the guy running up the hill. Who running up the hill? Jim running up the hill. So running uphill, I should say, is a participial phrase modifying Jim. And in fact, uphill is part of another phrase, which is somewhat hidden. Think of it as toward uphill or to uphill. It's the object of an unstated preposition, toward being probably our best choice. So we're going to prep phrase without it with a hidden preposition inside the participial phrase, running uphill. The next one, don't waste time talking about it. Okay? Talking about it modifies what? Time. Okay, don't waste time talking about it. So talking about it then is a modifier of the word time there. Over here we have past participle. Let's take a look there. Her fingers were worn to the bone. Worn, again, a past participle, but with an inserted prepositional phrase further modifying how badly they were worn. Her fingers were worn to the bone. Number 2, the gift given to me was nice. What gift? The given to me gift, if I can put it that way. So it's telling which gift. Ruined by fire, the house collapsed. What house? The ruined by fire house. So ruined is again modifying house. And just like given to me had a preposition inside the participial phrase, this also has a prepositional phrase inside of this participial phrase. A very common combination, by the way, to have a prepositional phrase within a larger participial phrase. In fact, prepositional phrases are so handy and so common, they occur often inside many of our verbal phrases, as we will see. Let's take a look now at the next example. Gerund phrases. Now, gerunds and gerund phrases all serve as nouns. A gerund, by definition, is the present participle verb form. That is base plus ing. But unlike a present participle that we talked about last time, it's used entirely different. It's used as a noun, and therefore it's given a different name, the name gerund. So it stands for, in this case, the name for an activity, like swimming, rowing, talking, watching. Those are all names, aren't they? Names are nouns, because they're a title for an activity, an action. Let's take a look at gerunds, both used simply, that means alone, and used in phrases. Swimming is my favorite sport. It's the subject. It's what is the favorite sport. So, of course, that's a noun. So here it is, an ing-based verb form, the present participle, used as not a participle, but a gerund, a noun. Second one, I like shopping. Here again, we see it as the direct object. I like what? Shopping. So we have a gerund now, a noun, being one of the things nouns can be, a direct object. This one here, I was running. Now, wait a minute. Is that right? Isn't this a verb phrase, was running? Yes, it is. That's why the red check there. Don't fall for this. Was can sometimes be a linking verb, but sometimes is a helping verb. Now, if it were a linking verb here and this were a predicate nominative, then of course we would use a noun, and a gerund is a type of a noun, and it would work. But that's not what's happening here. What's happening here is it's putting this in a past continuous mode. Was running. And that's just a verb phrase. That's the entire verb phrase there. Running is part of it. This is a helping verb here, not a linking verb. However, we could change things around and say this. It was running that he liked best. And here now, was is working as a linking verb, and running can now be a predicate nominative. The same thing as it. What is it? It is running, or was running. So here it's a predicate nominative, a proper use of a gerund, it is a noun. Now let's look at phrases. Running marathons is difficult. Again, it's the subject, it's what is difficult, but here rather than just the gerund alone, we have an object of the gerund. Now, it is a form of a verb, so it can take an object, and it does here. Running what? Running marathons. And the whole thing, running marathons, the verbal plus its object becomes the subject. It's a noun. All right, let's look at the next one. I like shopping with my friends. I like what? I like it. What's the it? The it is shopping with my friends, a name for an activity. And notice, as I said earlier, here we find it, the commonplace situation where we have a prepositional phrase nested inside of our larger verbal phrase. with my friends. A prep phrase finishes out the gerund phrase, shopping with my friends. Now, here's another one with the be careful sign in front of it, that red X. He always talks about surfing competitions. Well, it's an ing word. About is a preposition, takes an object, right? He likes talking, or he always talks about it. Is it surfing? No, it is competitions. Surfing is an adjective describing what kind of competitions. It's not a noun, it's a what? If it's not a gerund, not a noun, that's right, a present participle. It's modifying competitions as an adjective. But this would be correct. He always talks about surfing competitively. Okay, now he talks about what? He talks about surfing. Competitively just says what kind of surfing. It's an adjective in this case. Actually, it's an adverb. I'm tempted to say adjective because surfing is surfing as a noun, but it actually is a verb serving as a noun. So verbs, can they be modified by adverbs? Yes, indeed. So here's a trick question for you. What's the only time you can have an adverb modifying a noun? When the noun is a gerund. When it is a verbal taking the form of a noun. As we'll see in a minute, also with an infinitive, because infinitives can also serve as nouns. But the bottom line is verbals can be modified by adverbs because they are based on a verb, even if they're serving as a noun. So we see the difference between those two. Be sure you know what the actual object of your preposition is. Let's now move along to that third one, the infinitive, and talk about it for a moment. An infinitive phrase can serve as a noun, adjective, or adverb. It's based on the verb base, the base verb, with to in front of it. To talk, to see, to walk being examples. Let's take a look at some simple forms of infinitive alone, not a phrase. Here it is in noun form. To succeed is my goal. To succeed, it's the subject. It's what is the goal. Here it is as an adjective. That's the way to go. That's the way. Way is the predicate nominative. To go is modifying. What kind of way? The to go way. So it's an adjective. Finally, as an adverb, I race to win. To win says how I race. What kind of racing? Now let's look at phrase forms. Here it is as a noun phrase. We first need to stop talking. To stop. To stop what? What's the object of to stop? Talking. Again, it's a verbal. It can take an object. Here it is as an adjective. It's a place to go with your children. What kind of place? A place to go with your children. To go, and then the prep phrase with your children, completing that infinitive phrase, all modify place. Tell you what kind of place. And then finally, adverb form. We did it to raise money for charity. This tells us why we did it. It's an adverb of did. We did it to raise money. So this one has both an object of the verbal, we raise what? Raise money, and a prep phrase telling us what we did it for charity. Well, that's our training on verbal phrases, part 2 of our phrases review. Hope that helps. Tune in again next time.